Well, here in Washington, members of the Democratic Party have introduced a new bill dubbed H.R. 6, the Dream and Promise Act, which seeks to provide undocumented immigrants who came to the United States as children the opportunity to obtain permanent residence. The bill includes a proposal that would allow certain types of immigrants fleeing war or natural disasters the opportunity to apply for permanent residence. For some insight into the bill, I'm joined in studio by Johanna Leblanc, National Security and Foreign Affairs Legal Strategist. Ms. Leblanc, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
Yes, now, of course, so many young people are so anxious about their future. Give us a little bit, kind of a summary of what this bill will bring that is different than what we've had before, because there have been efforts to try and kind of give some hope to these young people.
Absolutely. So Tuesday of last week, House Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, introduced the American Dream and Promise Act of 2019, which would, if passed, would create permanent residency route for TPS holders, folks who are, TPS stands for Temporary Protective Status, as well as DACA, which are the Dreamers, right, that we're all familiar with, and also folks with DED status, and that's about, I believe, about 840 Liberians. And unfortunately, by the end of this month, because there's no protection for them currently, about 840 Liberians will be required to leave the United States. But essentially, the bill is, again, to create a pathway to permanent residency if passed. I predict that the bill will pass in the House, but I'm concerned about the bill in the Senate, the Republican-ran Senate in the United States. So I think that they may adjust the bill. And I'm hopeful, I'm very optimistic, because we know that, you know, TPS holders, DACA recipients, as well as other groups of immigrants, contribute so much to the economy of this nation. And I believe, according to immigration, the National Immigration Forum organization, that, you know, thousands and millions of dollars would be lost, and the economy will be highly impacted if this legislation were not to pass. So,
say those on the Republican side who may be opposed to this, what's the case they're making? What is their alternative? Given that we have all these hundreds of thousands of people, or rather tens of thousands of people who are hanging, you know, somewhere in limbo at the moment.
Absolutely. And obviously, people have different positions for various reasons, right? There are those who believe that, you know, when TPS ends or when DED ends, you go back to your country, right? And then, but also we have to understand that America is a land of immigrants. I myself, as an immigrant from the Republic of Haiti, you know, I think I've contributed somewhat to society, and I think that immigrants contribute so much. And studies show that about 80% of TPS holders are working, and some of them even own businesses. So while there are arguments against the passage of this particular legislation, but I think that when policymakers are looking at this piece of bill, we should look at how would this impact our economy in our country. And I think it would be a good thing for our country to legalize all those folks, because I think that, you know, when you are a TPS holder, right, every so often you hear you get an extension here, you get an extension there. But at some point, you want something permanent, right? And I think that TPS holders sometimes, they're politicians' biggest, I forgot the word that I'm supposed to use here, but I think that, you know, TPS holders, you know, they want permanent residency. They want to be comfortable. They want to live. They want to be able to continue to contribute to this nation. And I think that this bill should move forward.
But very briefly, we hope for the best. But what is the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is that currently under the Ramos versus Nielsen case, which was argued last year, currently TPS holders from certain countries, not all countries, are able to remain in the U.S. until January 2020. So TPS holders from Haiti in particular have gotten an extension until 2020 because of this court ruling. So once TPS ends, unless there is a legislation or unless there is a court case, you go home, unfortunately. And that's what's happening with Liberians right now in America.
It is terrifying. We hope for the best. I want to thank you very much for your insights, Ms. Leblanc.